Hey, here's part 284C3D. Line 22f1fa19c3D. Manifolds Algebraic Curves Complex Numbers 5G Wow Seti. There's the alien radio signal. And here's the diagram. Four manifolds from algebraic curves. The ones in red are circles, the one in yellow are parabola, the ones in blue are hyperbola, and the one in green is called cubic. So, quote, manifolds need not be closed. Thus, the line segment without its ends points is a manifold, and they are never countable unless the dimension of the manifold is 0. Putting these freedoms together, other examples of manifolds are parabola, a hyperbola, two open infinite pieces, and the locus of points on a cubic curve is y2 equals x3 minus x, a closed loop piece and an open infinite piece. So here's a diagram here. So you have ln ba plus bi, re 0, and then a. Okay. A complex number can be visually represented as a pair of numbers a and b, forming a vector on a diagram called an argand diagram, representing the complex plane. Okay. Re is the real axis, im is the imaginary axis, and I is the imaginary unit, satisfying I2 to the power 2 equals minus 1. Quotes from Wiki. In mathematics, the complex plane or z-plane is a geometric representation of the complex numbers established by the real axis and the orthogonal imaginary axis. It can be thought of as a modified Cartesian plane with the real part of a complex number represented by displacement along the x-axis and the imaginary part by displacement along the y-axis. The concept of the complex plane allows a geometric interpretation of complex numbers. Under addition, they add like vectors. The multiplication of two complex numbers can be expressed most easily in polar coordinates. The magnitude or modulus of the product is the product of the two absolute values, or moduli, and the angle of argument of the product is the sum of the two angles or arguments. In particular, multiplication by a complex number of modulus 1 acts as a rotation. The complex plane is sometimes called the argand plane because it is used in argand diagrams. These are named after Jean-Robert Argand from 1768 to 1822, although they were first described by Norwegian-Danish land surveyor and mathematician Caspar Wessel from 1745 to 1818. Argand diagrams are frequently used to plot the positions of the poles and zeros of a function in the complex plane. So here's the next graph. We get im, we have z equals x plus iy, y, r, and then the little funny symbol there, 0, x, r, e, r minus y, z with the line over top of it, equals x minus iy. Geometric representation of zand. It's conjugate z in the complex plane. The distance along the light blue line from the origin to the point z is the modulus or absolute value of z. The angle with that symbol, I don't know what it's called, is the argument of z. It looks like a triangle thing. Actually, when I looked at it, it looked like a spaceship, you know, with wings. Yeah, there you go. July 22nd. My thoughts. The absolute value of z. The Mayan called the absolute value of z for 0. Make z a 0 in this math equation. X, R, E, I, Y have been named in other videos in the WOW data. Cross-reference the videos with keywords x equals. So I did a search in my notebooks here for x equals at the top there. And I went through viewed through the list. It came up with 274 matches. Yeah, so we're like in the 270 videos, right? So of course I had to go through every single one to look at it. So I just picked out the keywords that repeated themselves several times, and that's what I look for, patterns, okay? So x equals halogen or coefficients. I still have to do research on that, by the way. forgot to do that. Sorry. Funny symbol is the C6H5. And z equals log e to the power of x and e to the power of y. That came up as well. And then quantum mechanics is another keyword. Control W7 to x. Wendelstein 7 to x Stellarator. Cannot find any videos with the IY in them because they are diagrams, not text. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it with a quick search. I'm going to have to look for it somehow, some way. I don't know how I'm going to figure that one out. Google instead IY, and up came the complex number. The word complex number came up with x minus IY. So then I did a keywords cross-referencing video with words of complex number in the well data. So on July 22nd, I did this again. Keywords to Google from complex number are going to be Argand diagram, interval cutting tensor, computational intelligence, orthogonal, imaginary axis, complex plane. Processing this data keywords in the next few videos.